So, if you guys don't know who I am, which I think you guys do, my name is Molly, Oregon Residence Live. Make sure you take good notes. Just kidding. So I'm here today. Megan asked me to talk to you guys about wellness, which is extremely important for both of you. I think I know on a personal level. Wellness is important for all students, but I think for the two of you, it is extremely important that we take a look at this today because you're student leaders on campus and you have a lot of responsibilities. And it's easy to forget about responsibilities or maybe not carry out the responsibilities the best of our ability if we're not taking care of ourselves first, right? So if you don't feel good, like you're having a bad day or whatever, and you're in charge of, you're a student ambassador, right?
Yes.
And you're in charge of a campus tour, how well of a tour are you going to give if you're not mentally and physically in a good place? You're an RA. If you're not physically or mentally in a good place, how well do you think you're going to be able to take care of your residents? It's sometimes challenging, so that's why it's important that we understand wellness and we are able to understand when we've reached our limits and when we need to take a break and say time out. So, Delita, do you have a car? I don't think you do.
No.
But you've driven a car, right?
Yes.
Sarah, I know you have a car because it's caught on fire a couple times this semester, so just kidding. Well, kind of, just kidding. So if I'm driving down the road in my car and I have my 4 tires going and one of those tires goes flat, what happens?
You have to stop.
I could be in danger. I could be endangering other people. I potentially could harm things around me. So it could cause a wreck. So basically that's what happens when we're out of balance and our wellness is not taken care of. I always like to use that as an analogy because you have to have all your tires working to make sure you're in a good spot and you get going. So think about that when you're getting to a place where you're starting to feel stressed or whatever. Are all your tires aired up or are you in a good place to be driving down the road? Okay? Got it? I know, kind of cheesy, but. So on this side you'll notice my fancy little designs here is, most of people call it a wellness wheel. However, I decided to change it up a little bit. This kind of looks like, this is what I imagine if a cartoon car like blew out a tire. Like it would pop. So these dimensions up here, the middle circle says wellness. So this is you. So we'll just walk through these. Some of them you may not understand, so we'll try to give examples. Some of them you may not think that you have something that qualifies, but I guarantee if we think hard enough, we'll all find something. So environmental, do you know what an environmental portion might be of wellness?
The people around you?
Could be. Think about it a little bit more broad than just the people around you. So like an environmental spectrum could be like your physical environment, like around you. Does that make sense? So it's important. But people sometimes make our environment toxic, right?
Yeah.
Because I know, I'm speaking for myself here, but sometimes if I'm around people that are negative all the time, then my environment becomes toxic. So the same thing like with the environment, being aware of surroundings and using your resources wisely. So that could be things like, hey, I see a water bottle sitting on this table. You have an option. You can help the environment and recycle it, or you can throw it in the trash. Like you get to choose that, right? Okay, the next one, the orange one here is intellectual. And on the back I made copies, or like kind of outlined examples for you guys. Can you guys talk about what do you think the intellectual, an example may be? So the intellectual piece is engaging in mental or stimulating activities. Sarah, I know for sure. Megan?
How about a leadership workshop?
Yes. Awesome. So that's what you guys are doing today. You're engaging, okay, in a mental or stimulating activity. Delita, I know like you've done theater. I don't know if that's your passion or your hobby, but that also could include things as Sarah here paints and likes to draw. So for her, this could be, hey, I'm gonna get a group of students together that I can actually express myself and talk about what I'm enjoying. So you're intellectually engaging with other people and you're stimulating. If I only talk about sports all the time and you like theater and you like art, how stimulating am I going to be to have a conversation with you guys, I mean, sorry, not about you. We're probably not gonna relate on that intellectual platform that you guys wanna be at. But fine arts, such as art and theater, you guys are probably going to challenge each other mentally and engage each other more than what I can. So it's important that you have those people. And I'm guessing you all have friends that have similar interests. That's usually how we pick friends, right? So make sure you have a good core group that can challenge you and engage you mentally, okay? All right, so the red one here is emotional. Being able to openly express your thoughts and feelings. Can you guys think of an example for that one?
Be open to what people are saying and how they are feeling so that you can react on that, or like stimulate them, help them, support them.
Yep, those are important. So again, like it could be your group of friends, it could be your class. Do you have an example, Sarah?
So basically, if you're like doing something, or if something bothers you, just make sure to let them know so it doesn't keep bothering you. Or if you have an idea, just be able to express it and stuff.
Perfect. That's very important there. We all live in this thing called life, and it's very important to make sure that we pay close attention to the emotional component, because Sarah said the word express. That's important, because if I don't ever feel like I can express myself, then how am I coping with my feelings? Anger, happiness, sad, whatever you're feeling. If you can't ever express yourself, that very easily can take a toll on someone, and it builds up, and then you like exclude yourself from the group, and so cut yourself off. So make sure emotionally, I think is important too for you guys right now, because you're in a critical part of your life. Like you're making decisions. You're now on your own, where you either probably live with friends or family or guardians or whoever's taking care of you, and now you're making those decisions for yourself. Like no one's telling you what to do or when to go to class. Like that's on yourself. You got to figure that out, right? So physical is the next one, the blue one. And you guys think of an example there?
Exercise. Be active.
I would definitely say exercise, but I wouldn't say exercise like weightlifting. I think it would be more like going outside and stop being inside playing games or something. Not being the whole day doing homework, but walk outside.
Interact with other students too. And then making sure that you eat properly. Like if you eat out every night at McDonald's, that could be a problem for like unhealthy food.
Right? Those are both good. And I think it's important too what Delita said. Like a lot of times when we think physical, everyone automatically thinks, oh, I have to go run, I have to go lift weights, I have to look the part. But here's the thing, it doesn't matter how you look, it matters how you feel on the inside. So like making sure you're putting in good food will help. The other thing is, maybe I don't want to go to the gym, maybe I don't want to run, but maybe I like taking a walk. Or I want to go on a hike or something. That's important to understand that not everything looks the same physically for everyone. And it's not about the appearance, it's about the physical, like how I feel. So that includes on the inside too. So those are both good examples that you guys gave. Social is the purple spectrum. Can you guys give examples in that, you think?
Make sure you have someone or like a group of people that you can go and talk to. And then having like a mentor maybe. Having like a strong like relationship with somebody that can give you some good input too, maybe.
Those are important.
I would definitely say also the friend zone, your friends people who are around you. Like we already said, people who are having a negative influence, you cannot put them in your social group.
So your like support group.
Like
That's
your
good.
you like your friend group is people you go to, not only for networking but also just just have to be that you're talking to someone instead of being alone all day. And for networking, I'd say definitely talking to people, like people in a professional way, and see where you want to go.
Okay, so you said something we just have already talked about. So you talk about social, but you also talk about the networking component. And you kind of mentioned what Sarah says with a mentor, but you just said exactly what we talked about up here, intellectual, having people challenge you. So yeah, all those are right. Those are all good examples. Social looks different for everyone. Social doesn't mean that I'm going out with a group of people to a party. It could be a group of people playing Dungeons and Dragons, or they have common interests. So it's important to keep like that relationship piece to make sure you have the support system that you need. So spiritual is the yellow one, and this is the one sometimes students or people I'm talking to about wellness tell me, well, I don't go to church. Well, same thing. Spiritual doesn't mean that it has to be religious based. So is there an example you guys can think of, like a spiritual way to keep yourself in line?
I don't know, sometimes like maybe listening to music kind of would be considered. Or just like
Yeah, that's a great example.
Like de-stressing, I would say.
like having your time, just alone time, just like to recuperate maybe, if that's what it takes, maybe.
Yep, spiritual, literally in this framework that we're talking about here, I apologize. Honestly, what it means is being able to keep cope and keep harmony in your life, like in peace. So that could be listening to music, decompressing. For me, I enjoy when I'm in a good place, I like to meditate. And meditate is not anything like you see on TV where it's like the Buddha or anything. But I literally will just Google like meditation and just sit and just listen and relax. That seems to, like, when I'm getting super stressed, if I just sit and listen through the Google whatever video, or you can find like a podcast or something that says, it teaches you how to meditate, and it's just after like 10 minutes I feel so much better. It's like I've decompressed all of that. So just finding a way to cope and make sure that you are in harmony all the way around, so it doesn't have to be religious. So when you talk to people about it, people might say, well, oh, religion, I'm not into that. And that's fine, because that's not what that means. So it's just like making sure you are in harmony. So talk about that when you guys are talking with people about wellness, that's an important component, and people don't always understand the whole realm of that. So the gray here is occupational, and it's preparation of long-term goals and aspirations, which both of you have already given examples and other things about. Do you want to elaborate on any examples you have maybe that fit in the occupational?
Maybe like goals to like help challenge yourself in your career, and maybe like figuring out what you want to do with your life, and just try to have a plan of what you want to do.
Yep, that's extremely important, because as you're both second years, so you guys are trying to plan for when you leave here and transfer out. So it's important that you have those goals that Sarah mentioned, because May's going to be here before you know it, and you can't just say, oh, where am I going to go to school next year? Because if you don't have goals or aspirations or anything set, then career-wise, like where are you going, what are you doing? Same thing when you get ready to transfer this year.
Goals are the most important things.
They are. Do you guys set goals?
I try.
Okay, you use the word try. What does that mean?
I set them, and most of them I lower them, because I'm like, oh, I cannot do this. But I set extremely high goals. That's my problem, mostly.
So how about you look at it instead of like, you said you reset them, and I feel like you're doubting yourself. So how about you keep those goals, but you make those your long-term goals, and you set mile markers as you're getting there, so you're not lowering. But if you feel like, hey, I want to get an A in biology at the end of the semester, that's doable. But at midterm you have a C, and you're like, oh, well, my goal then now is a B. I've now switched that. How about instead of switching that, say in the next 4 weeks, I want to have a B, and then measure that mile marker. Then when you meet that, then the A doesn't seem so far away.
Okay.
So it's important to set short-term goals and long-term goals. So don't ever feel like you're a failure, because as long as you're giving your best try, that's all you can do. So, and it may be, you know, something else to think about too is the time frame. So I may have said I want to get that A in biology class this semester. Unfortunately, I didn't decide that until midterm, and I have an F maybe. Okay, so is that realistic? So you have to think about, is that a realistic goal? But you know what I'm going to do? And I'm going to try the best I can to get a better grade this semester. But next semester, when I go into microbiology, I'm going to get an A, and I'm going to start from the very beginning. So it's important to keep that, you need to be real with yourself and make it realistic. Because Rome wasn't built in a day, everything takes time. And unfortunately, sometimes the goals we set are large, and that's awesome. But if they're on a timeline, it makes it extremely hard to sometimes meet them. If I say, I want to be a millionaire, and I have 2 years to do it, that's not realistic for me. I mean, I can dream, but make sure you keep that in perspective too when you're goal setting. Okay, so do you guys have any questions about what we went over here? Any thoughts, questions?